And you're welcome back to the polls. President Akufo-Addo is set to begin his search for a new minister for trade and industry. This comes after Trade and Industry Minister Alan John Kojo-Kyerematen told the president last night that he was leaving the job. Sources indicate that Alan's decision to resign is to allow him to concentrate on his presidential ambition. We'll be getting more on what's happening at the Jubilee House from our presidential correspondent shortly. But at this point, I want to bring in some party groups which are already reacting to this development. The Alliance of Foot Soldiers group, AFA, is already wading in, asking for to roll, and also for the president to use this opportunity to consider a reshuffle. Also, we hear from some other groups supporting the move by the Trades Minister. At this point, I want to bring in two gentlemen here on the polls. We have Kamal Amasama Bruni, who's spokesperson for AFA, the Alliance for Foot Soldiers, of a pro-NPP group, and we also do have Emmanuel Osei, who's one of the organizers of the recent Walk for Alan protest, which equally generated a lot of controversy within the party itself. I want to start off with you, Emmanuel, since you are known supporters of the Trade Minister, Alan Kojo-Kyerematen. You late last year, as a group, staged a walk or a demonstration, if I could put it that way, piling pressure on this government appointee to begin the process to run for office. What's your take on the latest decision by Alan Kojo-Kyerematen to resign? Emmanuel, if you can hear me, I'm just asking what's informing this decision to mount pressure on Alan, and now that he's resigning, what's your take on that?
A very good afternoon to your viewers. It's a great news. It's a great news for the entire country. It's a great news for the NPP. It is a great news for anybody who mean well for the country. It's a great news in the sense that resignation has given us hope that most definitely is going to contest. And he contesting simply means that what he said some time ago is coming to pass, that he is going to make Ghana the China of Africa. So most definitely to the teeming youth of this country, it is a great news because he represents jobs for the people, cash for the people. We are jobless, majority of Ghanaian youth are unemployed, and that is what has given rise to vices like ritual killings, heightened armed robbery, heightened prostitution and the likes. So if such a gentleman is owning himself up to come and contest and eventually win and become president of this country, it is a great news for Ghanaian youth and by extension, the entire citizen.
Some say it's early in the day, knowing that this is the time the president needs him the most. Of course, he assured and has demonstrated that his support to the president all these years. Why now? At a time when, of course, your government is not popular given the economic downturn?
Interestingly, we the supporters had wished he resigned somewhere in March last year. That was when the economy began to face challenges. But he said he needs to stay on for some little while. So around June, a lot of our supporters started mounting pressure that he resigned. He said, no, now that things have become tough, we don't resign in a time like this. And that is the same time some other candidates or aspirants were campaigning. So the pressure became higher because we were like, hey, the vice president is campaigning, a number of them were campaigning. He said, no, we don't campaign when things become tough. What we do is we see to, sit and judge and think deep to see how best we can turn things around. So he assured us that by the close of year 2022, they are going to work hard.
Well, Emmanuel, just hold on for us briefly. This is where I want to bring in Kamal Bruni Amasama, who's spokesperson for the Alliance for Foot Soldiers. Kamal, if you're with us, here's the case that, of course, you were asking the president to try and do some reshuffle, at least bring in new persons who would aid in the process of rejuvenating the party's chances going into the 2024 elections. And now we have one of the government appointees out. Would you say this is an opportune moment for the president to begin not just finding a replacement for Alan, but also doing some total reshuffle? If you can hear me, I'm just asking if there's an opportune moment for some reshuffle to take place. And you'd have to unmute for us.
Yeah, Bless, thank you for having me. I greet your listeners and viewers. For us, AFA, it's a welcoming news for us that the Trade and Industry Minister has resigned, because in the press conference we did last year, July, these were some of the reasons why we stated that some of the people should be reshuffled or be given the sack. So if individuals have decided on their own to begin resigning, I think it's a welcoming news. So for APA, we commend Honorable Alan Chairman for taking this bold initiative, because we know many of them have this presidential ambition.
Come on, can you hear me? It appears we're having some challenges connecting to Kamal Amasaman Brony there, but of course he's with the Alliance of Foot Soldiers, indicating what the position of the group is with regard to this decision by Alan to leave office. We know that the elders of the party are beginning to intervene and to try and state their position on this matter. We'll get more on that shortly. But Kamal, if you're with me and you can hear me, you were making the point there about how some of them or some members of the NPP who are serving in government already harboring some of these intentions of contesting as leading members of the party, especially when it comes to the presidential slot. So what's the expectation going forward from the others who haven't resigned but are still in government, as you believe? Kindly unmute. Yes, I can hear you now. I was just asking about the others. Yes. It appears we're having challenges connecting to Kamal and of course, yes. Kamal, we lost you briefly, the point you're making there.
I was saying earlier that we applaud Honorable Alan Chairman for showing the way by resigning on his own, because we were part of those calling that because of their presidential ambition, they will definitely be extracted from government business. Therefore, they should take the bold decision. And we know he's not the only person, but he's shown the way. So, AFA, on our side, we are most grateful for him to resign so that the government can be focused. Others should be brought on board, and then they will help the government steer the affairs. Because we all know the difficulties with which we are all in, and then we need people to be highly focused, support the government to make sure that this economic downturn that we are facing, we come out of it. Just as we've seen things stabilizing now, fuel prices going down, and then the exchange rate is also stabilizing. So we don't want any distraction again. He has shown the way. Others, we know the Agri Minister equally is also nursing that ambition. So we are calling on such people to look at what Honorable Alan Chairman has done and then follow his footsteps. So it's a good call, and that is a good step or initiative that he's taken. AFA is most grateful to him.
But would that not open the floodgates to such a heated contest at such an early time, when, of course, your government is struggling to deal with matters relating to the economy? I mean, the downturn and everything.
No, but he's there, and he also has an ambition. And just as I told you, it's a distracting aspect. It's very distractive. So he's considered that, and he feels like, okay, I equally have my personal ambition. So once you are given the appointment on your own voluntary, you can equally resign. So I don't see what he's done wrong, though the government needs him now, but he also has his personal ambition. And just as we say, ambitions are made of external stuff. When you look at what Shakespeare said in Julius Caesar. So he's chosen his ambition over supporting the government. And we see nothing wrong with that, because, and I said because, that he doesn't want to be part of the government and then he lose focus when the same government we are all supporting is facing some challenges. So he feels like, let me just step aside and let fresh hands come on board. So there's nothing wrong, absolutely.
And for the president, what are you expecting the president to do immediately? I'm just asking about the president. What's your expectation there in that regard?
For Alan resigning?
Yeah, the president. Your expectation from the president, because he has the appointing power.
Yes. Our expectation as AFA is that quickly a new person be brought on board to fill the vacuum, because we have no time left for us to steer the affair of the country. So as quickly as possible, Mr. The chief appointer definitely knows that he can't leave such an important ministry to be lying fallow like that. So definitely, I believe and I'm highly hopeful that Mr. President will definitely do the needful as quickly as possible.
Okay then, Kamal, just hold on for me briefly. I also want to bring in at this point former regional chairperson for the NPP in the Volta region. Is also one-time former appointee of the Kufuor administration. Ken Wood Norris is joining us. Thank you, sir, for your time. So how is this coming to you, given that the trade minister is leaving office? If you can hear me, say, I'm just asking how this is coming to you, knowing that the trade minister has declared his intention to leave office. Can you hear me, sir? Well, let's connect with Emmanuel Osei. And Emmanuel, you've heard the submissions from Kamal Bruni there, indicating that the president should, as a matter of urgency, be looking at possibly a reshuffle and also weeding out persons who have presidential ambitions. What's the position of your group on that?
Hello.
Emmanuel, kindly unmute for me. Emmanuel, kindly unmute for me so I can hear you. Yes.
Right. I was saying I didn't get the last part of your question. So if you could come again.
I'm saying that Kamal has made the point about the president finding others who are nursing this ambition, presidential ambition within the party. I'm just asking what we should be doing in that regard, from the perspective of the president.
Well, with respect to Alan's resignation, I feel like you asked Kamal. I personally feel Alan, as a leader as he is, he might have trained people under him and around him, so the president can liaise with him to get a replacement, a better one for that matter, to fill the vacuum, so that whatever Alan could have done whilst there, the person can take it up. And with respect to those who are also nursing similar ambitions, it depends on their strategy going into this flag bearership context. So it will be difficult for anybody from anywhere to advise them. The vice president, we all know, has started campaigning already, so he doesn't need to resign. He has been able to structure perhaps his activities in such a way that he can get part of his time for the purpose of campaign. And the rest, I think, based on their strategy, they should know how to go about this. But with Alan, like if it has happened today, he fails as part of the strategy. In a time like this, he should resign, having trained lots of people, like I said, under him and around him, to be able to take up the mantle should the president liaise with him in terms of getting somebody to replace him. I think it's a right call now, and it's a right decision now, and we welcome it wholeheartedly.
Okay, let's try
Just
one.
that,
yeah.
let me add.
Right, go ahead.
Let me add this. He has resigned, but officially, he is yet to let the Ghanaian people know that he's contested. And we want to play with him before the close of this month. He should kindly come out and let the whole Ghana know that he's contested. Resigning is not equal to contesting. Resigning is one part of it. And he coming openly and officially to let the Ghanaian people know that he's contesting is also another part. And that is what we are looking forward to seeing him do.
Okay, let's try one more time, Emmanuel, to bring in Ken Wood Norris, one-time deputy minister under the Kufuor administration and a former regional chairperson of the New Patriotic Party in the Volta region. Thank you, sir. I was just asking how this news is coming to you, knowing that the trade minister is leaving office.
Yeah, for me, I'm not surprised particularly about the resignation, of Alan. And it's just the best thing to do to give himself, time, to prosecute his own campaign. He's one candidate who hasn't been visible in the last, few months that others have been going around. And his resignation also offers the president the opportunity, one, to replace him. Then also an opportunity for others to follow if they are truly interested and serious about running in their government. Alan's resignation has shown the way for all of them to do so. The last thing any one of them will expect is to be sacked by the president. That can affect their campaigns. So the wisest thing to do, the reasonable thing to do, is to resign before the president gives you the sack. The president hasn't been in the mood of reshuffling or changing his ministers. And I've said it time and again that they are all performing to his satisfaction. So Alan's resignation might even come to him as a blow. But there is a stock of good materials that he can choose from for the replacement. But it is an opportunity for the president now to do some reshuffling and allow those who want to run to, leave the government, no matter how good or best they are, performing. In his estimation, there is nothing they can do. But once they're interested in this presidential thing, they have to resign, follow suit. And they should not wait till the president gives you a sack to affect your campaign.
How about concerns that the party is being divided at this moment but by this sole decision that Alan has taken?
So what is division about this? This is democracy. Democracy is about choice. And definitely every leader, every candidate will have some following. The most important, we have gone through this motion several times over. It's not the first time in the life of our party that we are going to go to primaries, presidential primaries. We went to primaries in 1992, went to primaries in 96, went to primaries in 1998. We always emerged stronger and united. It depends on the winner to unite the party around himself. And it is good we are doing it in good time before the general elections in 2024, so that we can have time to unite the party, heal wounds, patch some holes and move on. It has nothing to do with division. I can assure you that the presidential primaries is most likely going to regenerate, re-energize the party, generate a lot of activities as the candidates crisscross the country. They re-energize the party. They generate a lot of activity. The party becomes visible. That is what it means. As for the party enjoys such competition. It's like the World Cup. After all the various elections, internal elections that we have had, from constituency to regional to national elections, the presidential primaries is like the World Cup for our party. We are passionate about it. Okay? It has nothing to do with division. It is our tradition. That is what we have always done.
You are calling for a reshuffle. If that's what you're calling for, how should...
I'm not calling for a reshuffle.
Oh, okay, just to be clear on that point.
The president has not been in the mood to reshuffle.
Okay.
But the resignation of Alan from his government, the president said it time and again that Alan is one of those top performing ministers of his and has never been in the mood to change any one of them. But if Alan has resigned to give himself time to prosecute his own campaign, then the president will have, because he has a pool of materials to pull from. However, he might look at all the rest who are interested in this matter, probably because they have touted their performance as good. That is why they will be reluctant to leave the government and they might dislocate his government. But he has nothing to do but to either quietly ask those people to to leave his government for him to replace them in good time. And it is not good for him to sack any one of these people that he claims have all done well. It will affect their campaigns negatively. So it's not about reshuffle, it's for a replacement. I don't call it reshuffle. That would be replacement.
Right, replacement, as you're calling it. Can we just hold on for us? I want to bring in Kamal as well with the Alliance for Foot Soldiers. Kamal, so you've heard from the former regional chairperson of the NPP. He's of the opinion that, well, we may find a replacement. This is just democracy as it is. But the others are not willing to resign. At least we haven't heard from the Agric minister who's made his intentions clear.
Well, bless. Whether we like it or not, the Agric minister will surely also resign because if he wants to prosecute his campaign or he's still interested and he's still in the race, he has no choice. Even if it is next year, because per the party's constitution, at least 12 months to the general election, we have to go for the presidential primaries. So he's left with no choice. He can do it early or he waits late and then do it. So regardless of whatever, he will equally follow. But our first problem is that Mr. President should, as quickly as possible, as the year has started, sit down and look at all these things and do. Because if the Agric minister, you wait later part of the year, also resigns, though they may be doing on their personal ambition, but it may send wrong signal as though resignation is hitting your government. And, the opposition can equally take you to town and then go and skew the whole thing, as if your own people are maybe losing confidence in your government and the like. So, as quickly as possible, Alan's resignation should be a wake-up call for Mr. President to now take full control of it, decide whatever he's going to do, whether reshuffle or replacement or whatever. He needs to take the bull by the horn now. There's no time on his side based on what has happened now.
Let's hear from Emmanuel. Emmanuel, what's going to be the next move? You staged a walk with Alan in the Ashanti region. Now he's resigned. I'm just wondering what your group is up to next. And be mindful that you may face some sanctions as well because the party has issued their position on the matter. Emmanuel, kindly unmute so I can hear you. Well, let me wrap up with you, Kenwood. So going forward, what's your expectation from the party? The executives of the party have not spoken on the modalities for the presidential contest. We're expecting that, obviously, after this resignation, that will be the next natural order. And what would you want leadership of the party to be considering now?
The rules are not going to change anyway, except that we are in government. And we do not want, our government, business of government to be disrupted. The ban on campaigning is still in place. The only thing the party is going to do is to lift the ban and come out with the modalities that will regulate, the conduct of the primaries. That is all we have. The conventions are there. We have the rules and the convention. So it's just that we follow the calendar of our constitution, lift the ban, and publish the modalities. Then we are good to go.
But at the last meeting, of course, there are media reports that there were challenges even, settling on the dates for instance, the parliamentary contest, which is also heating up as well.
There hasn't been any controversy. Some people decided to publish false dates. The National Council of our party has not come out with any date yet. That much, we, the people, members of the party, are aware. That the time will come, there's no controversy about it, except that people were preempting the National Executive Committee. The National Council, at the right time will come out with the right date. And we have a constitutional calendar that says that when we are in government, this is the time to hold the primaries, and when we are in opposition, when to hold it. So we are clear about that, and we are not brought in any controversy at all about the date.
So what will be your message to grassroots of the party, those who are alarmed that this may, if not handled well, may affect the fortunes of the party going into the next elections?
Since 2007, 2008, where we had some 17 people contesting for our presidential primaries. We haven't had that, context, since. And the upcoming contest is going to hold, a lot of activity, a lot of excitement for the party grassroots. They should be calm. They should play, there should be an open arm to all the candidates who will show up, because they are all potential candidates and potential presidents. We should all accept them and listen to them and see which one of them, present as a better and clearer vision going forward, and which one of them is capable of, breaking the age, so-called, for us to continue, the good work that we are doing. Times are hard, though, but it's a global matter. We expect that in the fullness of time, things will ease out. Then all the good work that we have done in the past years will be rekindled. That will show, and people see that. But for the global challenges, this has been the best performing government, and we, the party people, must be proud of our work and trumpet it. Hello?
And I'm grateful that you've been able to join the conversation, Kenwood Norse, a former regional chair of the NPP. Kamal, your final words.
Alpha, we are very, very happy because as part of the things we stated during our press conference last year, we are seeing some of them materialize. We called for reshuffle. Earlier, many people disagreed with us, only for us to have our MPs 3-4 months down the line after our press conference, strongly joining the call for minister to be sacked. Now, I think Honorable Alan Tremantin perhaps may have considered the press conference of APA, and then he decided to now work on it when we called that those who have presidential ambitions should resign, and then he's followed it. So we are grateful to him for paying heed to our press conference that we held last year. And when you look at the last time our General Secretary was on one of your media outlets, he himself was calling that some of the people themselves know they are not up to the billing and they should try to resign. So we are still standing by our call that Mr. President must conduct a reshuffle, undertake a reshuffle to stabilize his government, because what is beginning to unfold, it is not well managed from the president, from the government level and the party level. We may not be able to handle as a party. So that is the position of APA, that we are still standing by our earlier position for a reshuffle to be done. And those who are seeing wisdom in it and resigning now, we say I equal to them.
I'm grateful for your time, Kamal Bruni, with the Alliance for Foot Soldiers there. Political scientist Dr. Asar Santi says news about the resignation of the Trades Minister, Alan Kojo Chermartin, is one that is a welcoming one. We'll get to all of that shortly, but I want us to have this conversation. The Council of Elders for the New Patriotic Party have been intervening in this matter. Let's cross over live and bring you an interaction with Hackman Osuajiman. He is a member of the Council of Elders for the New Patriotic Party. He's joining us here on The Pulse. Thank you, sir, for joining us. So how is this festival coming to you as elders of the party, having received that news that Trade Minister Alan Kojo Chermartin will no longer be in office? He's tendered his resignation. I can hear you, sir. I'm just asking how this news is coming to you.
Good afternoon. Oh.
If you can hear me, sir, I'm just asking how this news is coming to you.
What, basically, if precedence is anything to go by, then I was not surprised, because I was expecting, as per our own rules of procedure or by what we've done in the past through President Kufuor, eventually some form of resignation was supposed to be taking place. So I am not surprised. I wasn't surprised at all. I suppose there must be a number 1, 2, 3, and thereafter. But the point that I have a little disagreement with is with my friend and former Chief of Staff, Mr. Kwejo Pieni. I think he did say that he didn't think, following the suggestion by Honorable Akumia and Honorable Atachia, that possibly there could be a look at alignment of interests, if you like, within the party, so that we can pair, say, Mr. Chiramatin and the Vice President or whatever you. Mr. Penim seemed to have said that, well, if you want to be president, then you don't really want to be vice president. But the point that I want to make is that we are a political party. Issues are decided collectively, and issues must be in the interest, when we are at the party level, are the interest of the party. So therefore, if it becomes necessary that there must be some kind of putting things together that will ensure our success at the next elections, then I don't think that you immediately write that one off at all. People will start, people will come in, people will go, but what we do is that eventually the National Executive, the National Council will make decisions as to who our candidate is through the various modules that we have put in place and that we would follow. And I believe that a political party which is people of the same disposition and people who think alike and want to do things the same way should always put their mind together, their heads together, and then find out a way of doing it. And so it is, I want to disagree very sincerely with the former Chief of Staff that this cannot be done. No, it can be done if it is the way to ensure our victory. And the party first, when we talk at the party level, of course the nation is number 1. But when we come to the level of the party, our party first. And so anything that will help us to move forward, we move forward.
But I guess what you're doing now is to try and ensure that there is a party unity. But many would say that it's about democracy. Democracy allows that everyone can contest. And we do know that, and just as you're pointing to, looking at the history, this is one man who has been the forerunner, who has been in the race, who has attempted to run before, even against the incumbent president, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo himself, who one time ran against Alan Kojo Chiramatin, asking him to move along with the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, will be suicidal for the party, don't you think so? Because there are many supporters out there who have that opinion, that feeling that this is his time. He needs to share that with no man. He needs to be a man of his own and control or choose whoever it is that has to be the vice presidential candidate. What's your take on the fact that this is one man who has long since, held that ambition to become president?
Your technology has taken us by surprise. We don't seem to be getting the words through properly, so I am not with you on what your question.
I'm just asking if you feel that will be good for party unity, if indeed we allow Alan to run alongside the vice president.
Well, if I have understood you properly, or if I got it well, because as I said, there's some difficulty in the communication. But if you are asking whether it will be in our interest to have Chiramatin and the vice president, or to pair themselves together, or vice versa, whatever it is, I think that will be the way to go. Because at the end of the day, we don't want to fall over ourselves in selecting who becomes the primus, if you like, inter pares in the party, because the national chairman, obviously, is the head of the party. But we don't lose that. So it is very important that we get the two most popular people within the party, or even three, and then let's see how we work it out. I think that as a political party, our job is to ensure that we are able to work together as people who are of the same stables, and for that matter, they think alike. And so I have no problem at all with that. In fact, if I were to be asked, I would say that ideally, if you can get the vice president and my own brother Chiramatin, my own brother Baumia Chiramatin together, it would be fantastic. But this business of going through motions of selection and what have you, yes, we are a democratic party, but we are a democratic party with a purpose. And the purpose is to win the election at the national level in 2024. And I have been in politics for over 60 years, and I cannot think that putting the competing interests together would anyway be a disadvantage. If anything at all, to be the greatest advantage that we have. And we have to talk, and I think we have talked. We have the party machinery, we have the elders, we have the executives, we have the National Council, and we must talk and see how best we can do it. And if we can avoid this, we are not disenfranchising anybody, no. We don't want to do that. But what we want to do is to make sure we are working together, and so we are able to have a team that will be able to do it. And that's what I'm saying. And that's why I beg to disagree with the former chief of staff that if you want to be president, then you cannot be, you don't want to be vice president. No, you should be able to do that. One thing that President Kufuor told me when he was swearing me in as foreign minister, he said, Kwame, try and work with everybody that is given to you in your ministry as Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs. We are all the same people, and it's not an individual's preference that we are working at. It's a collective preference, collective interest, collective preference of the party, not an individual. So if you put an individual's, if you like, preferences ahead of the party preferences, it becomes a bit of a problem. It's problematic. So I want to agree with Honorable Akumia and Atachia that if we can get the two together, that would be fantastic. And that's what we seek to do, so that we can continue the work that is to be done, and that we shall be working together to achieve success. And after all, that's what we want to do. There's no political party who comes up and says, well, I want to lose. No, you want to win, and we want to win, and whatever takes us, whatever combinations of interest that we have to put together to win, that's what we must do. And that is what is for me, that's what is logical. And so for now, I don't think we should prejudge any issue or preempt any issue at all. Interests have been shown, accepted, would be accepted. I was expecting it in the line. As I said, we're going by precedence. Others will come. And then at the end of the day, we have to put our heads together and see how best we can sort of choreograph. We can choreograph the whole system to the extent that it becomes advantageous to our party. Why not?
To be a party that is democratic enough, why not allow the contest to run? At least in the end, democracy will be the victor. Why are you not allowing that contest to happen? What's the greatest fear? What fear do you have as a member of the Council of Elders, looking at how acrimonious sometimes some of these contests can get?
I think there's a basic misunderstanding in this country of what democracy is about. Democracy giving everybody a choice, and that we are not going to impose or superimpose any way of doing things on anybody. So you have your chance. If you want to run, you run. If you don't want to run, if we talk and we believe we get a consensus, we get an understanding, we move forward. And so democracy does not mean that we should always be at each other and competing with each other, spending resources. Democracy does not mean that. It means you do not disenfranchise me. It means you do not take away from me my right as a citizen or as a member of the party. And so democratic, yes, we'll be democratic. And what I'm suggesting is that the party has machinery. Those of us who started this party know where we are coming from. We know where our roots are, and we know what to say, what to do, so that at the end of the day, my dear sir, we would be together as one team. And that's important, rather than sort of fragmentize into fragments, sections, and whatever you and the rest, and be at each other, and then with all the campaign and its difficulties that we sort of encounter in the field. So I don't think we are not being undemocratic. No, it's very democratic. We are going to appeal. If there's an appeal, we are going to put on paper what we think will be the advantages of A and B together, or C and D together, or whatever together, and we do that. And that is not in any way taking away anybody's democratic issue that has been given to it by the Constitution and by the mere fact we are also Ghanaians.
Some say you could have averted this, your a member of the Council of Elders. Have you spoken to the President about this? Have you tried to speak to the President, to speak to the Vice President, and to speak to Alan himself, just to achieve what it is that you're calling for? Many say you've not been able to secure that as members of the Council of, Elders for the NPP.
I'm afraid, my dear sir, the line is not very clear. What did you? May you please repeat what you said?
And I'll repeat that again. I'm just asking about the meetings between yourself and the President. Why didn't you ask the President, as Council of Elders, to intervene, at least to try and get Alan and the Vice President on the same page?
I haven't mentioned any meeting with the President. I haven't mentioned any meeting with the President. Maybe the line did not come through. I said that what's important that the various organs of the party would have to get together and see how best we can put things together. In fact, I use the word choreographed. We can put things together which will which will inure to the benefit of the party. I have never mentioned the fact that the Council of Elders have met with the President. This is the first time it's coming. What I said I was also expecting this letter to start coming in. If precedence is anything to go by, that's what I said, sir.
Asking why you haven't arranged a meeting with the President on this matter. I'm asking why you have not arranged that meeting, just to try and get both sides, Alan and...
You are asking why we have not?
Yes, precisely. That's my question.
Oh, I see. Now you are asking why we haven't done that.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think that at this level we can put on table everything that we have done? When the sword is out of its sheath, out of its scabbard, it's no longer threatening. So whatever we have done or we are doing, it's not for me or for us to put it in the public domain. No, we are a party. We are from the same stables, and we work together so that we get to think that would, as I said, inure to the benefit of the party. So why we haven't done that? Well, in the fullness of time, if we believe we have to do something, it will be done. But quite obviously, we don't go to meetings or we don't discuss issues or we don't sort of lie and then be able to tell them we have done A, B, C, D. No. Why, if you are suggesting that to us, well, you are at liberty to suggest that. But we know what we are doing. We've been in this party since 92, over 30 years, so we know how we organize ourselves.
Okay, but there is governance at stake now.
Yes, sir.
There are calls for a reshuffle, at least just to keep up the momentum, because how you deliver as a government will definitely affect your fortunes in the 2024 elections. What do you advise the president do now, at least now that the Trades Ministry is vacant? Some say this is an opportune moment for the president to do a reshuffle.
The president is a very experienced politician, and if he believes that reshuffling is the best way to go, he will do it. On the other hand, if he believes that he can have another way of doing it, well, he will also do that. At the end of the day, we trust the political sagacity of the president, and he will do the right thing at the right time. And so I cannot say that he must reshuffle or not reshuffle. He knows the president is very astute, and he has a team of advisors at all levels. And so at the appropriate time, the president will do what is necessary and what will make this party stay together, work together, and win the elections in 2024.
And very finally, sir, your grassroots, you would have to keep them together. What message are you sending across to the grassroots of the party who may be divided at this moment over the resignation of Alan Kyerematen?
Well, so far, no instructions have gone out because we have not, consultations keep taking place and no instructions have gone out. But when and if we do, our constitution is absolutely clear. Once instructions have come from the highest level, in other words, at this point in time, from the National Council, which is the highest body after the National Conference, then we would expect our members to be disciplined enough to follow what the decision of the National Council is. As far as I'm concerned, for now, there has been no regulations or so issued out by the National Council or the National Executive for that matter. And so we would like to hope that when the time comes, when the decision is made, people will follow. That is why I keep saying we belong to the same stables. We don't have a situation where some are more equal than others. No, everybody has got one vote and we are all equal. So we would vote and we will see what to do, but eventually the ultimate prize, the ultimate aim of our endeavors, of our work, would be the acceptance by the majority of Ghanaians that our party should continue. And that's what we are working at. And so breaking the 8 becomes one of the targets that we have ahead of us. And so I don't think that our members would in any way be incited to go against the grain of the thinking of the majority of the party. What the majority thinks we should do is what we'll do. And that way, to use your favorite phrase, we do not disenfranchise, we do not take away the democratic credentials of anybody. Everything will be done democratically, and will then eventually, hopefully, arrive at a consensus building. Whether we join the 2 or 3 or what have you, and the rest, we'll do that. In the past, we have always had elections. We have always selected one person, and that person has received the massive support of the whole party. If that is the way we want to go this year, we will also do the same. But what I'm saying, my objection was to rule out the possibility of, say, a joint ticket between the vice president and Chirematin, or Chirematin and the vice president. So that's what it is. But I want to that all options, offers are on the table. All options are on the table, and no option is ruled out as yet. All options are on the table, and that's what I'm saying, and that's what I want to underscore. All options are on the table.
You cannot break the 8. Very finally, what's your take on that?
Say that again.
I'm talking about breaking the 8. Some of
Can you say that again?
Some
I
of
didn't
the
quite
opinion
get it.
that you cannot break the 8.
You are saying, or you are telling me?
I'm asking you, sir.
we seek to, as a party, we must have an aim. And the aim is to win 2024. And once you do that, that is tantamount to breaking the 8. And what you are saying is, I'm sorry, but I cannot agree with you. What we are saying is what we are doing. We are going to try and work as hard as possible and put things in order as much far as possible so we can win 2024. And if we win 2024, we would have broken the 8. So it's not as if breaking 8 becomes a sacred cow or something that we cannot do. It's doable. It's doable. It all depends on us and our ability to work together closely as one team, to support each other, to have a symbiotic kind of relationship with ourselves, so that at the end of the day, we do not pull each other down. This pull each other down in African politics is what normally creates problems. We are going to be a solid team together, working together to achieve the ultimate of winning the elections in 2024. And thus, we will do everything that we will do as we have done in the past and more to make sure that we win the elections in 2024.
Well, Hackman Oswajiman, I'm grateful that you've been able to join us here on The Pulse. And political scientist Dr. Asaya Asante says the news about the resignation of Alan Kojo Chirematin is in the right direction.
First of all, we have said time and again, even though I acknowledge that there's a political conversation about political debate as to whether competence and loyalty is the key. But I still stand firm to my position that it is competence, because you can have somebody who is 100% loyal to you, but he can be the best incompetent person you can think of. And is that the person that you want? Because every government wants results. So whoever you put into your team as a part of the body of ministers, you want that person to come and perform. So the president will want to consider competence, followed by the person must be a team player. Somebody is competent, but if he's not a team player, because remember that part of the provision of the Constitution, I don't have it on top of my head, says that you are going to team up with your sector minister, but this one is the minister himself. So you need competence. You need also a team player, that he must also be prepared to work with the team that he has in the ministry, the chief director and everybody and other, so that you don't superimpose your will on them. It is true that as a minister, you owe it a duty to yourself and your government that you champion the agenda of government, but you need to also consult and confer with your team players. 3, you need also loyalty. Yes, somebody who is loyal to the president, so that the president can trust and confide a lot of things in, so that you and the president will share in the vision of the president. Apart from that, you should also be somebody who has your own vision and that you want it to be brought to bear on what you are doing to further the agenda of government. And then you must also rise above reproach, somebody who has a very clean record and all that, and you want to maintain same at all times so that you don't bring the government office into disrepute. that kind of thing. These are some of the ingredients you need. But I believe that once the seat becomes vacant, the president will work the mathematics and come out with somebody who is worth the salt to be able to step into Mr. Alan Thomason's shoes and deliver what is expected of government.